No, Oscar Wilde once said, "When the gods wish to punish us, they answer our prayers." Sure enough, he was right, and that happened to me once. Basically, the situation is, I've been talking to this girl for quite a while online. Now, that's not the weird part in and of itself. Actually, it's quite easier to meet women online for really anyone these days. It's not a bad thing, it's 2014, socially accepted, blah blah blah, whatever. And that's not where any of the false flags or anything else came in. It wasn't a catfish situation, she didn't have a dick, yada yada yada, it was all good. However, I probably should have done a mental health record check if there had been a way to do that. Basically, really nice girl, really fit my aesthetic and what I was looking for. Perfect height, about 5'7", great body, Triforce tattoo, even though I'm not really into Zelda, I do appreciate the kind of geeky kinkiness that's associated with the whole, nerdy girl being into that sort of stuff. Really cool tattoo. Actually, several other ones, different tattoos and whatnot. Nice girl, very intelligent. Seemed normal at the time. Thinking, great, this is wonderful, I finally found somebody that I'm off to a great start with. We have a lot in common, and she's probably... on the scale, let me put it this way. In my area of Pennsylvania, 6s are almost impossible to find. 7s don't exist. This girl is legitimately, I think the pickiest person could only rate her an 8.6. And I'm punching well above my weight class, I'm way out of my depth, I'm way above my altitude, say whatever the hell you want, but for a skinny guy like me, I was happy. It's like I'm finally zoned in, I got a shot at somebody this gorgeous, great. We'll see how it's gonna go. And for a while it actually went pretty well, just talking to her, hanging out with her and whatnot, and we thought that, well, not necessarily hanging out with her, that was where the bad part came in, but, just in getting to know her. We had a lot of common interests, video games, anime, books, reading, tattoos, horror movies, stuff like that. So when we were trying to come up with something to do, we decided, well, let's go shopping and let's go to a movie. Alright, sounds great. I forget what I actually recommended. I'm not sure what it was. There were two different choices, and I know the one that we ended up seeing, and I know there was another one. Now, I'm not sure if I picked it because it was a horror movie and it seemed like it would be scarier than the one that she ended up picking, or if I suggested something else like a romantic comedy. I'm really not sure. But what we ended up seeing was Law Abiding Citizen. Yeah. Not really a normal first date movie, but I suppose there's weirder ones out there. And everything was going okay, talked to her in the trailers and whatnot, hung out for a good 2 hours before the start of the movie. And the movie started playing, and as the story started building, I noticed that she was getting rather, how do I put this, excited by all of the terror. Yeah. Now, usually when there's a violent part on screen, some of the girls cover their eyes, some of the girls scream, some of the girls just kind of sit there and, they're kind of numb to it just like I am. And then there was her. She clapped and cheered at all of the violent parts. All of them. Like, the woman in the movie put a cell phone up to her head, and it exploded. And I sat there as my date yelled, "Yeah!" as loud as she possibly could. I was shrinking down into my seat. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, my god, this is really happening. There's another scene where I really don't remember the movie much, but a bomb or something is being armed, and it gets switched with something that a character is going to be using or whatnot. And as she sees that it's inevitably set up for a violent, fiery conclusion, she goes, "Yes!" like Smeagol. Just completely threw me out of my game, and it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I like you, and you're incredible, but I get the feeling that you're going to kill me. So, yeah, not going to happen. I've never had that happen to me before. I mean, I know some weird people, and they've never reacted that way to a horror movie. I got nothing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I have a lesson for you about karma and irony. It's known as the flat tire incident. Now, this is something that happened to me. Not proud of it, but it happened. About 2009, I started seeing this girl, and we hung out one day. And, it was a pretty usual thing, pretty normal hangout. And we went out to see a movie, went to Walmart and whatnot. The movie ended up being Monsters vs. Aliens. Don't ask why I remember that, but I do. It wasn't bad as far as movies go. And we get to Walmart, and she mentions to me that she had never seen Jaws. I said, oh, alright, well, we can fix that. And I bought her a copy of Jaws on DVD for like $4. So we go see Monsters vs. Aliens and whatnot. It's about midnight. I'm thinking the night's over. Go to my car to say goodbye, about to part company. And she goes, do you want to come back to my house to watch Jaws? Now, I'm a guy. I'm not proud of where my mind went. But I said, yeah, I want to come back to your house to watch Jaws. So I go back to my car. I'm thinking things are going to go completely my way. I'm about to get everything that I want. I even am so confident that I do the Crosby goal scoring celebration. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with that, basically you get down on one knee, you pull the trigger by pulling your fist towards you, like in your elbow. And then I fist pump the glass on the Chrysler for no apparent reason. Which thankfully she didn't see, otherwise I doubt that I would have been invited over to watch the movie. Follow her back to her house, driving along forever and ever and ever at night in the fog. Finally we get to where I believed her house to be, and I see a collection of U-Haul storage units. I'm like, oh no. Well, I'm either about to die a very interesting death, or this is going to be really, really fun. It was actually neither. It turns out that she ended up turning up a street pretty near there that actually wasn't the entrance to the U-Haul pit. So, that was good. Crisis averted. But then the trouble came in. We walked in, we got to her house. We actually watched Jaws. I'm not kidding. I don't even know how to express my frustration. Just horrible. Not that the movie's bad, but the problem is, I've seen Jaws literally, oh god, how many times have I watched it? Probably in my life, which is a lot for any movie, 45 times, chapter to chapter, all the way done with the DVD. So, it's not like I'm surprised. It's not like I don't know what's going to happen. It's not like I don't know every single time the shark shows up. So I'm just sitting there on the couch, and sitting there, and sitting there, and sitting there. And finally, about halfway through, I'm like, you know what? Just kill the shark. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home. So, I go to leave. We part friends. And I'm exhausted. It's close to 3:30 in the morning at this point. Get in my car and go to drive home. As I'm driving, I see, there's some fog. No big deal, right? Nothing to worry about. And as I keep driving and driving and driving, it becomes heavier. So I chalk it up to being steam. Again, not a problem. Get a little further down the road and I realize, oh my god, it's smoke. Now what do I do? So I'm panicking at this point. Finally, I find a flat point of land and I pull over. Pulled over into the worst possible place to stop if you think your car is on fire. But I didn't realize this at the time. I parked, got out of the car, and started running across the road towards the gigantic giant eagle, prepared to run all the way across the parking lot and hide behind the building. That was my plan, and it was a good one. I would have been fine. Well, depending on the car would have blown up, that wouldn't have been good. But crossed the double yellow line, looked back, and realized that I had run in terror from a flat tire. That's what had been causing the smoke. It was basically down to the rim, but the metal wasn't touching, and ergo the cause of the smoke. All of my terror wasted on that. If anyone had seen me, I would have just completely died of shame. I don't know what they would have thought. The look on their face would have been priceless. And then it gets better. Called my best friend. and he was sleeping with his girlfriend. And I told him, "Hey, I need some help. I have a jack and I have the wrench in the back of my car, but the nuts in the car are factory tight. I can't get them off." "All right, we're coming." "Nope, don't bring her, Josh, don't." He hung up. So, I probably should have backed up a little bit and mentioned that his girlfriend at the time was completely, certifiably insane. Violently insane. We'll get to her in a whole nother thing, but just not who I wanted to spend any amount of time with whatsoever. So they get out there about 20 minutes later, setting the land speed record from their current location that they were at to where I was currently broken down. And as I found out later, they did most of this with her on the wrong side of the road and insisting that she was right. Now bear in mind this is a 2-lane road with a yellow lane down the middle, or a yellow line down the middle. I don't know how you make that mistake. I really don't. Not in this country. She's not British. She has no English blood that I know of, and the steering wheel's on the left, so whatever. Finally they get out there, and he and I basically have to have one person pull on the wrench while the other person jumps up and down to try and break the tension on the lug nuts. As we're getting berated for another hour by her and complaining that she's cold and tired when we didn't want her to come in the first place. So finally we get all done. I go to leave, and I'm nursing the car along about 30 miles an hour. They tear out of there like a bat out of hell about 20 minutes ahead of me. I'm driving along and I get back through to my hometown, and I see a very familiar red Pontiac pulled over to the side of the road with a cop car behind it. Huh. This has to be fun. So I call my friend real quick, and I get him to answer, and he goes, "Hey, I'm being pulled over right now. I'll talk to you later." "All right, bye." I get the full story later on. Not only did she blow one stop sign, she blew 2 stop signs, and the police from another department across the road were able to hear her car about 9 blocks away. This was just a V6 Grand Am. It wasn't anything fantastic. It didn't have a Flowmaster exhaust on it, though why you would waste money on that's beyond me anyway. Yeah. And then she proceeded to argue with the female police officer. Genius, right? Well, best part of it all is she ends up wanting me to pay her fines that she herself accrued until we both convinced her that doesn't make any sense. In summation, I'm actually still friends with the girl that I watched Jaws with, and for a while I wasn't able to say those words. It brought back very bad memories, and kind of elicited an involuntary shudder just because I didn't want to be reminded of it. Her and I are still friends. I still sort of have a little bit of a crush on her, and as of yet, her and I still have not done really anything physically. Situation I am still looking to resolve. Yes, for those of you that get too arrogant at times and think that something is a sure bet, always remember the flat tire incident. Thank you.